Choosing between standard and custom, I would say it's a little bit easier, but choosing between standard object itself, sometimes it's a trickier, and that decision may have a ripple effect on throughout our solution. So today, what I'm going to cover is, first of all, I'm going to cover the master detail relationship. I'm going to cover a few of the scenarios on the basis of my experience previously, being judge or being when I presented a mock. I'm also going to discuss how do we take a decision to decide which object has to be in your data model. And then in the last few slides, I will just go through the some standard object definition that I understood. But before I go, first of all, the whole slide is my thought and my understanding on the basis of all my experience in the past 2 years, right? There are many topics that we all know. In architect community is not very clear. We have a very clear documentation on how to write Apex. We have very clear documentation on how to write a flow. But really there is no clear documentation or the design guide, right? That what to use when. And again, that comes with experience, right? Again, there is no guarantee that CTA judges are going to agree my point of view, right? So do your due diligence. If you are choosing any object, you have to make sure you really understand why you are taking that decision. Okay. So with that, let's have some conversation. And I would like to ask all of you one question. Why would you go with the master detail relationship instead of lookup relationship? First is roll-up summary. If we are deciding that we need to have a master detail relationship just because we need to have some roll-up, in my opinion, that's not really the right decision. Why? Because there are n number of solutions that we have in the market, like this Git repository. Let me show you. Okay. So there are Git repository. Okay. Something like this. Special official Salesforce documentation blog that they have declarative roll-up summary tool and everything. So just roll-up summary fill in my decision, in my point of view, should not be the decision to go for the master data relationship. Next, no share table for the child will improve the performance. Again, in my point of view, that's not the right reason. And I will tell you why that is not the right reason to go for the master detail. The better performance, right? If you ask me that master detail gives the better performance, then I will ask you a question to all of you. How many standard master detail relationship we have in the Salesforce right now? And if you are working in the Salesforce ecosystem from the like 6-7 years, you might have seen the Salesforce has started moving from the master detail to the relationship. So I'm not sure if you remember in 2012, 2013, that time I was sure that relation between opportunity and opportunity product was master detail. There are some more example. And then so what Salesforce is doing, they are converting those relationship to the lookup relationship, but still keeping the capability of, let's say, roll-up summary, sharing, right? But they are not really going for the master detail relationship. Okay. And there is a very good article that I always go and visit. This is which is this article. So it's very old article, 2014, but very detailed analysis that what happens to the data migration when you have a master detail versus lookup relationship, how many record locking happens, what is the performance, right? So it's all about the performance. If you are saying that master detail gives us the good performance, lookup relationship is the right answer. They're not the master detail. So I would suggest go ahead, read this article. I read this article like 6-7 times until unless I understood what exactly they are trying to say. And then we will know that why the Salesforce is moving away from the master detail relationship. Now the question comes, if everything is possible with the lookup relationship, why do we need a master detail? In my opinion, the only reason you should go with the master detail relationship when there is a clear cut sharing requirement and the little bit touch of the roll-up summary field. That's where in my mock till this point, to be honest, I have not seen any scenario like laptop to school or the greenhouse recycle, etc., where I went with the master detail for my custom objects. Okay. So in my opinion, reason to go to the master detail should be mostly on the basis of security requirement, not the roll-up summary, not the performance, because we have official Salesforce documentation which talks about why the master detail relationship is the problem. Okay. Try to go with the lookup relationship as it's a high performance and records are not being logged. neither in data migration, neither in the integration. Okay. And just to give you, these are the 5 standard master data relationship that we have right now in the Salesforce. Opportunity to quote to line item, account to entitlement, service contract to contract line item, and work order to work order line item. Now, if you go in field service lightning, CPQ, there are some other master data relationship, etc. But I'm just considering the core Salesforce cloud and service cloud. Okay. And just to show you, whenever you are in doubt to see the relationship between some object is a master detailer, the lookup, always open the schema builder in Salesforce and try to see which arrows are the red arrow, which represents the master detail, and which arrows are the uh, not which arrows are the blue arrow which represents the lookup relationship. Salesforce themselves don't have much master detail, rather they have a special relationship. If you can create a roll-up summary field between opportunity and opportunity product, if you can control the sharing of opportunity product from opportunity, why did Salesforce went away from master detail? Why Salesforce has a relationship as a lookup? Again, these informations are not available officially on any blog or anything. That's just my observation. And normally in all my actual project implementation, I always try to avoid master detail. Another problem, if you guys would be able to relate, when you try to delete the master record, it's a cascaded delete, right? But that's not a free of cost. It takes a CPU time. It takes a heap size, not CPU time because that's a database, but it takes your overall time, right? Your heap size and etc. So master detail relationship always comes with a cost.
Assuming that volume is not a concern here. When I say concern, within volume is within the LDV limits,
Mm-hmm.
and there's explicit security requirements. Is it better to go with master detail? The
Yeah,
reason why I'm saying is if you introduce a lookup, then now you need to talk about how we are going to provision security for those custom objects, either through sharing sets or some other way, right? Then your explanation in the board would be, you need more time to explain it.
yeah. Definitely, I agree, Ajay. I think, I mean, my decision tree of master detail versus lookup is always security comes first. Okay. If there is a very clear cut security requirement which says anyone who has an access to account, example, should have an access to XYZ, clear cut hint of master detail is there, right? Again, do not go for the roll-up summary. There are declarative solution available for the roll-up summary. Do not make your decision on the base of performance because that's not true. Master data relationship has a hard hit on the performance, right? But
Mm.
security, yes, that should be the decision. Thanks, James. Yes, cascaded delete can also be enabled on the lookup. Okay. Let's go on fun topic. Okay, choosing between the objects. Okay.
Oh, sorry. I would add probably one more consideration there. You talked about record locking being a consideration of data migration. I would probably go even further and say it's also a consideration and impact in integrations as well. So batch data integrations or integrations that trigger batch processes that involve volumes of records.
That's beautiful, Sam. Yes, that's also true. Anything about DML, you have to be careful in master detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so let's go on the next topic again. And team, if you have any question, please feel free to post on the chat. Okay, now choosing between the standard objects. This is very fun topic. Before I go here, okay, maybe not related to this. In one of the mock, okay, I'm not sure if I was the presenter or I was the judge. One of the candidate came back. Hey, uh, we had a discussion related to kind of the data model that okay, you have a service resource. Okay, you have service resource member. You have work order. You have work order line item. Why you're not going with the field service lightning? Okay, if your data model is already matching with few things, you can easily go with field service lighting on the lightning scheduler. Do you guys on this call think that decision of any app exchange product or any product from the Salesforce should solely be controlled by the data model? Just because I have work order, line item, service territory, like objects. Does that really mean that I should go with the lightning schedule, or I should go with the field service lightning? Any thought here?
I would say not. The data model is the easiest thing to do. The whole concept around it and automations, that's the difficult part. And that's also comes with a lot of added value, but it has to be matching use case, not matching data model. That's my clear view.
Perfect. Thanks, Pietro. So we will come to that point. Thanks for sharing your point of view here. Okay. So one more scenario I have. Okay. Let's say this is the scenario. We have a prospect. Let's say we have lead, and that owner of the lead need to share the record with their team members. So the question to all of you, we all know that lead does not support a concept like lead team. There is a concept of case team, and there is a concept of opportunity team, right? And lead does support queue, but we all know that queue means there is no single point of ownership is gone. So the question to all of you on this call, is lead still the right object here, if this is the requirement?
I would say if it's going to convert into an account contact opportunity, then yes, and we can do something like manual sharing.
Perfect. Thanks, James, for sharing. Should we repurpose case for this one? I think you already answered, James, right? Your point of view. Anyone else? Do you guys think just because there is a requirement for the team and the requirement for team sharing, does it makes lead invalid?
Could we also clarify what the definition of team is in this scenario? Is it within a hierarchy, or is it sort of cross-cutting?
Adam, yeah, it can be anything. It can be hierarchy. It's not defined, let's assume. Okay, I will go for another question. Should we consider opportunity directly? Because opportunity has a concept of team. Okay, I'm not going to answer any of these questions. These are all the food for your thought. I would come back on this question later. Okay, because these are the very basic, I will not say the mistakes. These are the basic building blocks that mostly influence our decision to choose which standard object is the right object. Some may agree lead, some may agree no, we have to go with the case because case supports out of the box team sharing. Some may consider opportunity because that's how we did in one of our project. We directly converted prospect to the opportunity, and then we brought all our team members on opportunity, right? I will keep this question pending, okay, and I will come with another question. Okay, prospect record needs to be created via email. Okay, now we know that there is no out of the box email to lead. There is email to case, but no email to lead, right? Now the question is, should we repurpose case because it makes our life easier, right? Again, I'm not going to answer the question here. Think about it, okay? And you will know where I'm forcing all of you to think where and how we are making a decision on the objects. Okay. Next question. Organization would have a multiple locations or sites. And now this is one of the favorite question, right? I mean, you take a greenhouse recycle, right? I think there is another Salesforce scenario where there is a similar situation where account can have a multiple location. And I have seen many people using account hierarchy. Okay. Now the question to all of you, is account and the location is same? Think about it. Okay. Ask yourself that account means something that you do with the business. Okay. Location is something which have an address. Okay. And so the decision of making account hierarchy, is this the right decision? Ask yourself. Okay, we mostly, including me, I normally go and I create an account hierarchy, right? If that is the case, then you all might already know there is a standard location object also. why did Salesforce introduce location object, right? Another question, I think this is going to be our last question when I come to the decision, that what I want to give a message to all of you is this scenario. Customer would like to purchase item from the community. Okay. I think after one, I have one more question for all of you, but here, what is going to be, and I'm using a word customer, it can be the partner, it can be anything, because in board review exam, do not go with the word, what the board review exam is saying. They are using the word customer, but that might be the partner. So let's say a person or someone would like to purchase something from the community. What is going to be your design decision? Are you going to consider order, or are you going to consider opportunity? This is also one place where at least I found myself in a problem few years back, right? But I think I got very hang of deciding what is, when the order is right and when the opportunity is the right. Okay. Anyone would like to share a thought on order versus opportunity?
One point of view is the partners or customers place orders, but that need to be further vetted by internal sales team. There's some additional processing involved, review or processing is involved before that that gets placed.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, I'm thinking about opportunity, and then once that approvals are completed, then you create an order.
Okay.
Just one point of view.
That's a good. Anyone else?
I think it all depends upon how short your sales cycle is. If you have a something like a negotiation, or the opportunity is turning into a contract which will be used as a price reference for the future, then it's better to go with opportunity. If it's a direct fixed price, no negotiations involved, you can go for orders and make your life simple.
Okay, perfect. I think, yeah, those are very good thought process. Thanks, everyone. I have one last question. Okay. Customer would like to collaborate during the selling process on the design. Okay. Question to all of you. Will you enable opportunity sharing with that person? Again, don't worry about the word customer. It's a person. That in the board review exam, again, do not depend on that word, what the board review exam is saying. The licensing is your choice. So the question is, during the selling process, okay, they have to collaborate. Would you expose an opportunity so that they can collaborate during the selling process? Anyone, any thought process?
I will not, because there might be a chance that if I expose opportunity, that means I have to change my licensing to partner community. And if I change my license to partner community, that means I'm reducing the number of customers which I can have. If it's just collaboration purpose, probably I'll create a custom object which will represent opportunity for my end customer, and have a one-to-one relationship between opportunity and this custom object.
Okay. Good point of view. Anyone else?
Yeah, and also the key point is more about design. That's what I would look at. So what it means could be some kind of sharing some documents. So for that purposes, like Nitin mentioned, we could have a custom object and use that for customers.
Okay. Okay.
From my perspective, probably the quote object might be more suitable. I mean, if I have to expose something which is standard, then quote object would be more suitable rather than opportunity.
Perfect. So one thing about quote object here, the relation between opportunity and quote is master detail.
Okay, so that is not an option then. Yeah.
But good thought process. I really love the discussion team. Okay. And I have not given my answer yet, because I'm going to come up to the conclusion. Okay. And all these questions, okay, are really not something I have. If you observe, this is the decision you might have taken in universal safety scenario. In universal safety, there is a situation where the customer needs to involve in the blueprint phase of the security system, right? So all these questions that I haven't taken is from the Salesforce scenario available publicly. Okay, and those are a very important decision that we need to take. Okay, my point of view, I share with few of you that you have answered, right? If you share opportunity, you share all the codes, right? Of course, you can control the code access using profile or some other means, right? But that is one consideration. Another consideration, if you share opportunity, then where is the isolation? Where is the wall between internal user and external user? How the internal user can discuss some confidential information, because opportunity is something for internal user who is selling. I can have a lot of discussion on the chatter feed saying that, hey, customer is asking for XYZ price. Can we give? Can we not give? The past experience with the customers, they don't play on the time. There could be a number of confidential information. Question: should we share opportunity so that we share either the confidential information or we stop internal user from writing the confidential information on opportunity, right? So anyone on the call, would you have you got what I'm trying to say here? I have not given any answer anywhere, but I really have give you some question and the decision that you might or you might not take. Anyone?
Jitendra, just wanted to put my point of view on the chatter feed point which you displayed. I think you can still do the internal communication, but the internal users have to be a little careful while defining the visibility of that comment or post. You can still say this should be visible to external user or not. Visible in
Exactly.
community, there's a, I forgot, that's the flag, I think.
No, no, that's fine. So you are literally mentioning there is a technical way to do it, correct?
Yeah, there's a technical way to do it, but personally, because of the licensing reasoning and because of the complexity involved, I'll not suggest it. I'll rather go for a custom object and create one-to-one relationship between the two.
Perfect. Perfect. So any other thought process, anyone? So all these questions, series of the question that I have asked you in the last 4 or 5 slide, do you guys agree to this?
I had one other point to make, which was partially already brought up. Maybe that collaboration or that information sharing can happen over the document, like you generate maybe through the App Exchange product like SDoc or DocuGen, or maybe share that through Quip. Some kind of way to expose that information on a document and then share it and do the back and forth.
Exactly. And I'm coming back. Technically, all those possible, right? But what I'm trying to say here is the number one anti-pattern of choosing standard object is making our life easier on the basis of standard technical capability. Think about it, right? It's a very deep line here. If we need, again, it's just my point of view, right? So if we need to share opportunity and then use something like DocuSign or something, or document any like Quip or something, right? Is this really how the Sales Cloud supposed to work? Right now you have your information scattered multiple places. What is the impact? What is the impact on 360-degree view, right? What is an impact on reporting? Those are all the things that we need to consider, right? And in our board review, if you cannot convince yourself, see, because the best solution is the simplest solution, right? So really, my suggestion, do not take a decision on the technical capability just because it makes our life easier. Just because lead does not support team, don't go for the case team or opportunity team. Someone correctly answered, go with the custom lead object or something, custom lead team object, sorry, right? There is a very clear definition and the difference between order and opportunity, when to use what, when to use when, in which scenarios, right? So always whenever you're thinking, do not think about making your life easier, do not think about what is possible, what is not possible. Think about what is the purpose of that standard object. Yeah. So before I go on the actual definitions of the standard object, does anyone have anything else to share? So in CTA board review and even in your actual project, never take a decision on the basis of technical capability. Don't go run around the bushes, right? Just see what is the simplest solution, and of course the licensing is there, cost is there, just to save the cost of the customer. I'm not going to use an opportunity, I'm going to use some custom object. The biggest implication is think about app exchange products. Can the marketing cloud work with the custom object? Think about it. Of course you can create a data extension, but the whole purpose of the marketing cloud is the lead, campaign, contact, and person account. Correct? CPQ, you need an opportunity. If you have used some other object for opportunities, I'm just giving you some example. Where I'm trying to say is app exchange product all supports either extends or enhance the functionality only when you have chose the right standard object, right? And that's only when your base product is good, you can extend those product with the help of any app exchange product, which is normally dependent on those one. So few queries, few key points here. Yeah, give me 1 minute. Technical solution should not derive choosing between objects. And to Sam's point, if something is possible does not mean you have to do it. The question is, what is the right way to do it? Okay. Record type and the page layout is not the solution. I have been on the mock, right? I have presented myself. And sometimes I see candidates saying, oh, we can go ahead, create a record type, and we can use a record type in the validation rule, in the trigger, and we can have different processes. Think about the maintainability, right? Is really having a multiple record type on the same object and various validation rules trigger, would you be able to maintain that solution in the long term, right? Case or opportunity is not really the right place, right? Just because it supports team and lead does not support team, because that's not the purpose. The purpose, and most important, every standard object has their purpose very clearly defined and the use case clearly defined. Okay. Object selection should always be come from the lens of the business. Never choose an object just because of the technical reason and making your life easier. There is no email to lead, so I will use email to case. That's not the right solution, right? Okay. Again, don't forget, I already mentioned app exchange products like CPQ, Marketing Cloud, all works on the standard object, right? You need to have your base clear, okay? Otherwise, your technical debt is going to be huge. Now, another question normally sometimes we see, should we use the same object or should we go with the different object, right? Should we use a record type on the same object, right? Again, for an example, I'm not sure. I think this is which scenario? This is a green roof or something, right? Should we repurpose case object for the employee discipline? So there is a requirement that there is going to be the employee discipline. Maybe in one of the mock I have used myself, right? Then I got grilled by some other judge, right? Again, does employee discipline need to follow any SLA, like reply in 4 days, reply in 7 days, right? Does employee discipline have completely different sharing requirement, right? Is different group of people is going to, again, all these questions are not the technical questions. All these questions are the business specific question, right? And if the answer of our question is no, yes, yes, then think about the custom object. Case may not be the right object here. So always, when you are thinking that I would just go ahead and create a record type, ask few business related questions that, okay, what is the purpose of case? All the cases about SLAs, milestones, right? Multi-channel supports, right? Do we need all those things in the employee discipline? If not, why not to just create a custom object and get with it? Okay. And of course, the advantage. What would be the advantage you will get with the custom object, new custom object? You will have fresh governor limits. You will have full control on the complete end-to-end processes, full control on the sharing. So again, I'm going on the standard object definitions now. Anyone have any question on the my point of view on those last 2 slides?
I do, but I'll wait for other people. Go
ahead, Sam.
No, you go ahead, Ajay. I'll join at the end.
Jitendra, one key point I always remember is the one object for one purpose. Is that a too high level summary when I think about from a data model perspective?
That's a good start, Ajay, I will say. But
Mhm.
again, that would also come. So for an example, one object for one business process, but let's say there are some more business processes which need to follow some SLAs, right?
Yeah.
Which need to follow a similar process, something like that, right? Then might be that answer would change, right? So that's where exactly we have a record types and the different page layouts, right?
So in that context, exactly leading to my next question is proposing another record type is called um, optimal solution or go with a custom object. For example, work order, if I were to, I could create a two record types of the work order, or I keep work order for what its purpose and create another custom object. I struggled with that sometimes, whether to go with a custom object or define a second record type on the same work order and manage within the business process lifecycle.
So Ajay, yeah, I think that answer is never going to be always black and white. I will say most of the time your thought process is right. Yes, go with the custom object. But again, think we have a very limited. So sometimes I see people get confused between case and work order. Just to an example, right? Case also
Mhm.
supports article, work order also supports knowledge article, right?
Yeah.
Should I use a case or and both also supports milestones. So both supports SLA, right? But again, what is the purpose of those two objects? One is for office and one is for physical visits, right?
Mm.
So, and also on top of that, before creating a new custom object, think about it. Are there any SLA? I'm just taking an example of case at the moment, case versus custom object. Is the custom object needs to follow SLAs? Do we have a requirement that we need to reply someone within a 4 hour, within an 8 hour, right? How many options I have? I have only two options. Either I have a case or I have a work order, right? If I go with the custom object, then it is going to be huge customization. Then it will put you on the very uncomfortable space in Q&A with the CTA judges in board exam that, hey, why you're going with custom object, why you're having so many customization, right?
Mhm.
So it's a very good start that one business requirement per object. Plus also think about is would record type would make your life easier, right? The reason I said that employee discipline cannot be the case because employee discipline is completely different process,
Mhm.
right? But if there is a subset of the whole end-to-end process, that is a little bit my thumb rule. Mostly like case is always the milestone and multi-channel support, web to case, live to case, sorry, web to case, email to case, omni-channel, right? Those are the and I'm going to discuss in the next future slides. So I have my thought process that when I decide to go with which object. Okay, but Ajay, it's a good
Yeah.
start. What you said is completely good start, but just don't make it black and white.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a question. Does it really matter if like the other object has different sharing requirements? So for example, if the answers to the above questions are like no, 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 would you go with case or would you go with custom object?
So let's say, does employee discipline need to follow? No. Does employee discipline have a completely sharing requirement? No. Different group of business user works on the employee discipline? No, I will not. I will try to go with the case then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have to really find the right balance. Okay. Choosing, I mean, also you need to make sure not introducing the technical debt. Any standard object is used for not the purpose it is defined is a technical debt in my understanding. Okay, so you really need to find the right balance there. And if you convince yourself, Q&A is going to be breeze. Campaign. Okay, campaign we all know is used for marketing. The whole purpose of the campaign is to generate or nurture leads. Okay, and calculating effectiveness of the marketing, that okay, this lead got converted to opportunity and this is how much I spend in the campaign in the marketing. Let's say I spend $1,000 or $100,000 and I in return that lead got converted to an opportunity and I'm making a $2 million or $5 million. So those are the business process of deciding on the campaign, right? In one of the mock, okay, I don't remember who and when, okay, but candidate used campaign in a GAT. We have a global adventure tour or something, if you guys remember, and there is a requirement that we need to manage adventure. Okay, so there was a requirement that there is going to be one tour, and one tour can have a multiple people, and the candidate went ahead with the campaign. Right now, the question to ask yourself, technically, of course, it's possible because we have a campaign member and everything. But the question is that, was that the purpose of the tour scenario, where we nurturing the adventurer, where we nurturing the participant, right? No. So really, I will say, right, decision was made in that mock on the basis of technical capability of campaign, right? Because campaign supports so many things, right? But really, that should not be the decision to choose the campaign object. Yeah. Coming to the lead, it's a prospect and the possibility to do the business with someone. That's the whole purpose, right? And you can collect lead via campaign marketing, by web to lead, and by an email or by a phone or something, right? That's the whole purpose. You get the new business, there is a chance of getting new business, right? And the best part is qualification process, the lead weightage, lead status, hot, cold, warm, right? Those kind of the Einstein lead scoring, etc. Those would really help you that can we move ahead with this lead? Can we convert that lead to the customer, right? That is the whole purpose of the lead.
One question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Usually when customers request for information via email, should we start that as a lead only then, or because we don't have email to lead as we discussed before? So in that case, I thought that initial email comes, will start with the case, and then somebody will look into the email and then they will start deciding to create a lead or not.
That's exactly, that's the right process if the channel is email, because on the case object, nothing is mandatory field. Only the subject is mandatory field and the status, right? So yes, you can certainly go ahead, email to case, right? But no other fields would be automatically populated. Just case without account, case without lead, case without contact, right? So that is again the valid process, because you just have a right record type for the case, and then you decide that you will convert, you will create a lead manually or not.
Okay.
So in that particular example, I would be asking myself, is the person requesting via email an existing customer or a potential new customer? Or if they're a potential customer, are they a potential customer for a new product for them, if you see what I mean? If they're an existing customer and they're requesting some information about a product, then case is a good, it is a logical use for that purpose, because it's associated to an existing customer, right? If they're a prospect for a new service, or they are an entirely new prospect, then lead is a good choice instead. So again, it comes back to the purpose of that object and the context in which it's used.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Sam, on that one. Going on the next object, and one of the most important and the foundation of Salesforce ecosystem is account. One of the most complex object also. So few things about, right? What is account? It's an organization with whom you do the business, and that can be the single person, and that's the purpose of this object. Do not use this object for location. Location is a different object altogether, right? This object, the best part about this, it has a special security capabilities like implicit child, implicit parent, portal access, etc. You can create record either manually, or you can convert lead. You can use a convert lead API call out if you want to do it, right? This object supports account share, and the special thing about account share object is account can give an access to related case, contact, and opportunity also, right? So the specialty about this object. And on top of that, you have enterprise territory management, right, where you can assign account to multiple territory and control the security of account on the basis of territory if you have like matrix based organization or the complex sharing requirement. So before I go on the next object, anyone have any question on account? Again, I will share this slide with everybody on the group, right? Go ahead through the slide. And if you don't agree with something, or if you have some points to it, please share with the whole group.
Jitendra, do you have a separate slide about the personal account? Okay. No,
Yeah.
I mean, I would.
No, I don't
Okay,
have any
then.
slide about the person account, but I can share my notes, Peter, if you want more information about the person account.
I think this is also one of the most complex and confusing standard object person account for all.
One thing I can tell is do not run away from person account. Okay, again, the purpose of the person account is you are doing with the individual person as a business. That should be your decision. Decision should not be technical. Decision should not be sharing would be complicated, or it will get 4 kilobyte of storage, or person account cannot be converted to the partner community. There are multiple pros and cons there, but the first decision should be the business, the person with whom we are going to do the business. Okay, and also in Tamim's book, in the last scenario, okay, go ahead and check the solution. He has used a person account excellent way. Okay, and that is really helped me to really nail down what is the purpose of the person account. So if you want, I can share the book page number of from Tamim. That is also a very good explanation of the person account.
Jitendra, I've got a question on the account, on the ownership of the account. Who would be the owner? So in the case of person account, let's say if they are self-registering and creating the user, it will be the user who created. Will the ownership during the life cycle of the account would change to internal? Because the question comes is, when we put in the data model, the ownership will always be the creator, or will it change?
That's right. So first thing, right, customer creating account is not the normal process, right? So even if there is self-registration, let's say self-registration handling from the social sign-on, right, where let's say Facebook first time user is trying to create, right, you have the execution as parameter, right? So technically also it is not possible that the portal user can be the owner of account. It's not possible, right? Most of the scenario, the owner of account would be the someone either who convert the lead or who is working with the customer. And it is very easy to identify in the CTA board review. So in the CTA board review, when you go through the customer, there would be always some line about customer onboarding, and there would be always some line about digital signature, negotiation. The person who is doing those stuff would be the owner of the account. I mean, that's the thumb rule.
Got it.
Okay.
Just have one point to add on the account. Earlier, when you convert a lead, you were only able to convert it to either a person account or a business account. But in the recent releases, you can actually convert them into both a person as well as a business account. So one lead can.
At the same time, Nathan?
Yeah, at the same time.
And okay, I am not aware about it. Why would someone try to create a 2 account at the same time?
They gave a weird example where they said you have the banking example is there, where a person is like is a lead, but you're also creating the to which company he belongs to.
Okay, I think I need to.
I can pass on the page, but it's possible now.
Yes, please. Yeah, because I know previously it was controlled by the company field on the lead. If the company field exists, it will become business account. If the company field does not exist, it will become the person account. But the scenario that you are explaining, Nitin, that's new for me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And there's something which I recently figured out is your implicit parent also work on your work order. I'm not sure how it's working. I'll cross check. But like for orders, if you're an owner of a order record, you get implicit parent record access. In the similar way, it was working for the work order. I'll cross check on it because I was a little confused.
Yeah. There is, yeah, maybe not in this session, but there is a special behaviors also for all the objects, right? Like contract and order and account, right? Those are some special behaviors when you use a standard object that you need to know. Okay. We have 5 minutes, team. If you have any question, we can spend the 5 minutes just in discussion, or I will just go through the slides.
Location, Jitendra, I have a question around that. You brought that up, right? There are common scenarios on the community where you will always need a location to an account. So there is obviously account hierarchy, not the best choice. We'll go with other objects. There are two options there. One is the location standard object versus some kind of custom object. Now, usually the look, like based on the scenarios that I've seen, one account will have their own, they will be owning their location. So one location will always be tagged to one account. However, in the standard world, we have that associated account, many-to-many relationship between associated location, sorry, the junction object between, or the quote-unquote junction object between location and account. So because, and if you are introducing that junction object and assuming that it will be always a one-to-one on the junction, that whole sharing thing get a little bit messy. And here, whenever you're trying to navigate to the account from the location, because now there's a junction object, there's an easy way to do it, and the sharing state and a lot of things gets impacted. So, and that's why I tend to always go with a custom location object. Is there a, in your view, is that a like a optimal approach, or it should be, because location is used for something that has an address, we should always target to use location and then work around the sharing, processes?
Yeah, good question, Roy. So here is what my thought process is, right? That in my understanding and what I understood till this point, right, that is mostly in the retail world, right? So in the retail world, let's say you have the warehouses or you have some delivery center, you use that location for that purpose. Now, which customer would be served by that delivery location would be the associated location, right? Now, in my knowledge, that location is not the customer's location. Like you mentioned, right? There is no direct relationship between location and account, right? So that location object would really not help. What normally I do is I create a custom child location object. Okay, that's the one way. Another way also is sometimes it is a sister company. Very clear cut requirement of account hierarchy. So in board review, they will use the word location and then we'll say each location will have the primary point of contact. It's really account. They use the word location, but they literally said it's not a location, it's account hierarchy. So again, you have to understand those situations from the business point of view, not really on the basis of word that is written on the CTA board review or any scenario. Okay, so Roy, coming back to your that location object is a different. That location is not the location of the customer. That location is the location where the customer would be fulfilled. That's my understanding.
I see. And with that example in mind, where we will have something introduced because there's a one-to-many from account, and because it's an account and the location is owned by the account, does it make sense to have, because of the sharing, there might not be any specific requirement around sharing mentioned out in the scenario, but because it's your location, a customer's location, in my mind, and I may be wrong, there is an implicit requirement around location should be also visible if you are working with a customer. So does that then drive you to consider master detail?
Yeah, I would still go with the lookup relationship, Roy. And then I will assume that the reason I'm going with the lookup relationship is it is possibility that contractor or the partners would need an access to account. I don't want to advertly share any other information than account, right? I will just make an assumption. Okay, because the biggest problem with the master detail is you are giving literally access to anyone who has an access to account, right? Yeah, so I will just take an assumption. Assumption is your best friend in your CTA. Just make sure you're not getting far-fetched assumption. Assumption is your friend. Take the right assumption and proceed.
It's also an art form. Being able to pull out the right assumptions to support your story is something you need to practice.
Yeah. And Andrew Hart, if you have been in the mock of the Andrew Hart, he always uses this word, the assumption is always your best friend.
Yeah.
So team, I have only 1 minute left. I don't think I would be able to cover. So I will share this slide in our Slack. Just go through this slide. These are, again, like I said, these are all my definitions. Okay. These are the slides that I always use to decide myself, right, when to use which object. Okay. But if you have any question on these slides, feel free to chat on the Slack. Okay. So I have asset, entitlement, case, work order, task. Task is extremely important. Okay. This is kind of the small fish we normally ignore, but have you guys seen the requirement about the maintenance? Asset need a maintenance once in a quarter, once in a year. We create a custom object, we create a batch of X, but really the task, recurring task could be the easiest solution there. Okay. So don't ignore task object. Okay. Same goes for contract and the service contract. This is also one of the most important object. Contract is supported in customer community. Service contract does not support it customer community. Plus, just because you need a line item does not mean that you have to choose the service contract, right?
Hey, Jitendra, can I ask one small question around the tasks? And the maintenance that you mentioned. So let's say, yeah, I've seen those requirements wherein there will be a need to schedule your maintenance multiple times a year. So the question that I always try to answer and I struggle getting an answer on is, who do I assign the task to at that very point of time? So in the beginning of the year, I'm doing the calculation of distributing the task over the year, or the distributing maybe whatever, if it's a work order or any other custom object, to execute that maintenance over the year. But in the beginning of the year, I probably will not know who the owner will be for that.
And you already answered the question. It's a queue. You don't know in the after 1 year what's going to happen, right? So task also supports queue.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
Okay,
but
team.
Will it stay in the queue for the whole time before it actually is timed, like a week before the task, something has to be done?
You just need to have some business process that you create a list view or something of the task, right, on the basis of some customer that failed, and just train the internal user that, hey, this is the process, you have to monitor the list view. And either you can have some automation, and you can ask them manually, right, that, okay, assign the task on the basis of location or customer, etc. Right?
I see. Yeah, makes sense.